That's our confirmation.
Okay.
Okay,
I have no
awesome.
clue where it gets saved to, so hopefully it doesn't disappear somewhere.
Yeah, well, we'll find it. It'll be easy to find. I'll show you how after. Um, okay, let's begin. So, hi. This is Spencer, and Spencer is a brand new graduate from Texas A&M, and he is a aspiring TV and film editor. He sent me his reel, and he found me through the directory of possible like mentors and people who could give advice to new graduates. And that's the right way to do it. That is really the right way to do it, is to reach out to people in the field, networking. It's all about who you know. So, cheers to you, Spencer. And thank you for being here in the Zoom call.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk again. Our first conversation was super awesome. You gave a lot of great insight, which is huge for me. Like you said, I'm very green to all this, so I've pretty much spent my whole summer just reaching out to people, cold emails, cold calls, and just trying to make the connections happen.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's how a lot of us get in, and through just cold calls, cold emails. It's like that. This is a freelance industry. Even the editor of Avatar freelance between Avatar. So all of us editors and all of us post production people are doing this constantly. Whether you're in Hollywood or you're in Texas or New York, anywhere around the world. So kudos to you. And, in our first call, I was telling you about the different post production jobs because I think a lot of people think they have to like get that editor job, land it right out of school, which is difficult. Um, but being a PA in whether you're working in scripted or non-scripted, that's a lot easier. And you're running coffee, you're running scripts, you're also getting an opportunity to talk to these people, and they may even let you read the script and show you their workflow. So it's definitely a way in for you that you can do, Spencer. And also, we talked about DIT work, which you were really interested in. And I think that's great for you. The script supervisor on set has an easy into editing, but also the DIT has an easy into editing because you've already seen all the footage. And I remember, just to go over it again, DIT, imaging technician, which I was hired to do that for Amazon Prime. And they flew me out to Prague for a month. And it was like the best experience of my life, fully paid and all expense paid. And I got to sometimes be on set, sometimes just hang out in my hotel room waiting for dailies, and I like the reel you sent me the second time. You took notes very well. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So, do you want to talk a little bit about your reel and what kind of work you've done up until now?
Yeah, so I studied, it's called visualization at A&M, and it's basically learning the Pixar pipeline. So 3D modeling, animation, all the way through first conception, final delivery for those types of projects. And it was obviously very interesting work. It was really cool to learn all of it, but I pretty quickly learned that I was more interested in doing live action film and TV. So I made the transition to looking into other post-production work and fell in love with editing and got my first job doing that as a videographer for the Corps of Cadets at A&M. And so a lot of the content that I did for them was it just started out as filming special events or game days or doing just an interview with cadets. So just a lot of like talking heads content and like hype rules for Instagram and social medias. But that kind of got me into it, and then I was able to do a YouTube series recreating the YouTube show Hot Ones with them, which was really awesome. Got to like do my own directing and producing, took that project all the way through on my by myself as well. So that is a lot of my reel is that footage and those projects. And then pretty much everything else is just personal projects that I've worked on in my free time. Just like a lot of the stuff I do almost ends up being more of like a music video type of work, where it's just these more like experimental kind of like grungy, darker looks to them, which I really like. But yeah, I definitely want to end up taking these skills and translating them to narrative work or like documentaries or short films. Anything in that realm is kind of what I'm looking to get into and figuring out how I can translate those skills to that path.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you definitely have a good head on your shoulders, and you've done a lot of good work up until now. As someone who is like new to the industry, and what I liked about your reel was that you showed that you can cut on dialogue, which is really huge. As a lot of people, I love experimental work. I love music videos. I worked in music videos. I worked at MTV and other places, and had the opportunity to work on like a seven avengeful, yeah, like a rock music video and like all these music videos, and it was really great. But what we do as editors is we tell stories between people, and the reactions and the emotions that go on when people are having dialogue. So I'm really glad that you're able to show that you're able to do that. And directing and producing is great. A lot of us editors, if we're not able to find an editing job, we can do all of the filmmaking spectrum, in every department, and that's how you got to be like that. I always tell young editors, like, don't be afraid to take a producing job or a directing job, even though you love editing. And I can tell you really love editing. And it's not a easy job. You have to really be obsessed with like pattern and continuity and the material and really care. And those are the best editors who really can sit alone in the dark for hours when they almost forgot you're in the building, and those are the best editors. So I think you do have what it takes, Spencer. And I'm glad you found me. So let's see what else. Um, so one thing I wanted to talk about on here a little bit is like we were talking about like lessons and like what I do also, which is like I give lessons to people on Avid Media Composer, which is the main way we edit in film. Sometimes it's Premiere, but Premiere is almost too um, simple for what we need with like being able to do sync script and see the dialogue, which is amazing that it can do that in video. Um, so yeah, so I've been teaching that. I was a TA at USC, teaching film and video under Norman Holland, who's the editor of Heathers, and learned a ton being his TA for 2 years. And I'm offering my one-on-one tutoring sessions, and I've got a few people that I'm working with tomorrow. And then I also have the Gumroad documents that I do, which are just like one sheets. Just boil it down so you don't have to read a whole book, a whole textbook, or a whole chapter. And then I also have a book that I wrote, which I'd love to send you a copy of that book, Spencer.
I just got an email today that I got my copy and it arrived this morning. So
Yay! I'm so glad. Thank you. I
yeah.
was gonna gift you one, so I appreciate
Oh,
you
that's really
buying it.
nice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for buying it. And the book is it's a very short book because I want it to be a guidebook that you could keep in your back pocket. So when you're at work and you need to know how the different files, how the different codecs work, and as well as like the storage. Like I'm very much into media management. That's how I got my job as a DIT. Is I once transferred 32 terabytes while I was in Texas from a remote computer in Hollywood.
Wow.
Uh, Sorry, I'm glitching so bad right now, aren't I?
It's okay. Just the video. The audio's crystal though.
Okay, cool. We'll make it work. I'm closing everything down too because I know that's one thing. One of the editors from Space Jam was my teacher at USC. And what she would do for us is whenever she'd go around to our computers and they were having any issues, she was really funny. She was a French lady. She would yell, "Close your browsers, close your browsers." We would all like, have some kind of email thing open or something. And she's like, "It's your
Yeah.
browsers." So I'm closing them now because like that was it. I had all these browsers open. Should get a little better. Um, Anyways, so yeah, so the book is a reference book. It's not meant to just like be read like through, but you can read it through and then just see, what it is. And I wrote it myself. I didn't have an editor. So I know some of my reviews were saying like, "Oh, there's some typos and stuff like that." I'm like, "Give me a break." I wrote it when I was, like, in my 20s too, so I'm like, "Give me a break," but it's still useful even though it has its things, so, I'll probably come out with a 2nd edition or a new one soon. Um, yeah, so there's that, and yeah, so it's just about being an assistant editor, and that's one step under PA, and, the PA and the assistant editor, sometimes the PA can move up to 2nd assistant editor, so if you ever get a chance to be a PA on a feature film, take it in a heartbeat because the assistant editor might drop out, might, need your help, and then you can get that boost up. You can literally get promoted. It happens all the time. So,
I
yeah.
actually just got one of my contacts just reached out to me yesterday with a PA gig for one of his buddy's films. So I don't really know
Oh,
anything about it, but I'm super excited to. We've got a full shoot day tomorrow, so I'm really excited.
con congratulations, Spencer.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
You're
super
welcome.
excited.
You should be. This is the beginning of everything. Like, just show them that my only advice to you unsolicited is to show them that you really want to be there. That's all people care about because, they just want to see that you actually want to be there, that you appreciate the opportunity. Um, Try never to be like just chatting around, even when the camera's not rolling, especially when it's rolling. I had an advanced cinematography professor tell us that she would fire people if she saw them just chatting. She was harsh, but that's part of the reality of being on set is it's like you should always be watching and waiting and anticipating what may be needed if you see anything and then be the first person when they say, "Hey, I need someone to do this," to say, "I'll do it." So it's that kind of like it's a little bit like being in the military where you have to always be ready for anything and also be always paying attention, not necessarily the only time you can chat is at the lunch break, and just be the guy who's always ready to do whatever they need. And even though you might be getting coffee and snacks and taking people to their area or, finding someone who everyone's looking for, every job on film is so needed. It's so important. The PA, I mean, I would not work a set where there wasn't a PA because it'd be hell, because somebody somebody who isn't supposed to be doing that job has to do that job. And something else we say in film is definitely stay in your department. Like if you're a PA, don't try and do anything in the art department, the camera department, unless you're asked, because that's like getting a promotion. So now you're kind of in that department. But then when you're no longer needed in that department, you resume your role. So it's very everything in and film on set, and I've been on a lot of sets and different sets, is very much about staying in your role and just staying in your role and being present, super present. Like turn off your phone. I treat it like I'm going on a camping vacation. So I tell everyone in my life, like, hey, you won't be able to reach me from, you know, 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. I will not be texting or calling you. If it's an emergency, it's got to be like that. So yeah, that's one reason I became an editor though, because it is very like cut off from the world when you're on set. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, do you have any questions about that?
I do have a question about, so you're saying like your biggest piece of advice was kind of remain in your role and just be good at your role and anticipate other people's needs. As an assistant editor, do you like what are the key characteristics you think to like staying in that role and anticipating? What are the key characteristics you look for in an assistant editor?
Well, when I'm hiring an assistant editor, I realize that I'm plugging my computer. I think it's overheating. I have it on a fan. Um, when I've been an assistant editor or I'm hiring an assistant editor, I always make sure that they know that their job is organization. It's right brain stuff. They may be really excited about the scene and want a chance to edit it and do the sound design. And sometimes the assistant editor is the sound designer because that role doesn't exist anymore in film really as much as it used to. The sound designer is the assistant editor. That's what I've always seen. But I'm always looking for people who are ready to just be the organization guy or girl, organizing the sub clipping, making sure the files don't go offline, like just being really into the tech side of things and really into the making my job easier so that when I open Avid Media Composer or Premiere, I'm ready to go. Everything is labeled. It's in its folders by scene. It's they chopped off the clapper. If there's notes from the director, they put it in there. Like, how detailed can you be to make my job easier? How much time do you want to spend, and can you spend to make it so that I could come in and I don't have to organize? So that's the assistant editor's role. It's not as creative, but that's how you get to be creative because now you're learning what a good project setup looks like. That's why it's all about workflow and project setup.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's honestly part of why I love editing is because I've always been very organized in my own way. Like I can't have things everywhere scattered. Everything's got to have its place. Like when I come home, I set my wallet and my keys in the exact same spot every time, so I know where they are. It's just that sort of thinking is kind of why I like editing so much, I think.
That's perfect. That is how a lot of us are. A lot of editors, I've gone in their bay and it's just pristine. It's so clean. Everything's in its right place. It's always there. We're usually very like a Virgo or something, or a Capricorn or something, like some kind of earth sign where it's like just very organized. And being like that in your life will help too, because its industry can get kind of chaotic. But as long as you like organization and you strive for that, you'll be a fantastic assistant editor and a fantastic DIT, because that's also really important in digital imaging technician work and in PA work. Because if they give you something or they need you to know where they're at, you got to be there, and you can't be like scattered. So yeah, organization is huge. And that's also what I love about assistant editing, just files, just organizing. I used to say I'm a file pusher because sometimes people don't know what assistant editor is. I'm like, I'm just pushing files. Like I just like, it used to be papers, but now everything's digital, so we're pushing files here to here. You got to know where they're at, label everything. That's another thing. A lot of assistant editors, where they fail is they're not labeling everything. At the root level, you don't change anything because then it won't connect. So you leave the tape name, but the name of which is the file name, but the name in the actual software, you go through and you label it, and you have that knowledge. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's just it. Just be organized, label everything, be obsessive about it and controlled, and really care, and you'll be an amazing assistant editor. That's all they want.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, so you've done both feature work and films and docs, but you've also done like corporate and marketing commercials. Is there a difference between those types of work and how do they differ for you as an editor and also for the assistant editor?
Oh yeah, great question. Really great question. So when I was working in commercials, I was with music videos. A lot of commercial houses also make music videos, so they can make their bread and butter that way with combining them. And commercials are very similar to music videos. And I worked for a big studio in Hollywood that did that. And then I also worked for eBay for a very short time, like in-house videos. So sometimes those in-house videos, they don't get seen by anyone. Um, we didn't have assistant editors. The smaller the project, you're your own assistant editor. So for those really small videos and those small projects, it was just I would spend the first like 3 days doing that, organizing it and importing it and making sure everything looks good. And then I would start editing. So I didn't have an AE. And that's what the smaller projects are like. And then when I was an AE working on bigger music videos, I would still actually have to cut it sometimes because it was just too much footage. And the editor was so busy doing so many music videos, they'd be like, give it a first pass. And although I never got credit, I learned a lot from just like having all this footage. And he's like, put it in some order, make it make sense. So sometimes you'll do that when you're working on commercials and music videos. You'll be the the AE will be the first one to do a pass. And a lot of the times, there's not as much looking at scripts because it's just a very basic story, and then there's not a lot of sound design because it's just music or it's just dialogue in a song. So it was just simpler, and I almost felt like I wasn't being challenged as much. So I was in a hurry to get away from doing commercials and music videos because I felt like I could do so much more. I love films, I love TV. I could do so much more. So a lot of people want to stay there because it's you can spend more time with your family and have more of a life, but it's also like, what do you really strive to be in this world? So I pushed out of that and wanted to go into scripted. My first job was reality TV, and it was like Fail Army, Juke and Media. We were doing that, and another show called Now That's Funny, and that was just like importing clips, and it was really cool. It was like an hour long TV show, and we had to import everything in as the assistant editor. I was the lead assistant editor. I had a second assistant editor who worked under me, who I trained because she actually was a PA before. She didn't have this experience. And the thing about it is that was really like, also, I didn't feel creative. I just felt very technical, which is, when I was writing my manual, because I was like, I feel like I have a lot of like computer knowledge, technical knowledge, but I don't have a lot of like creativity right now. I'm just very good at this computer stuff. So that was good. That was fun. Now, on the flip side, going totally to the other side, was working on TV shows, working for BET, editing documentaries. And I did both freelance and contract based. So I'm in the union as an assistant editor. You work up to there through reality TV, commercials, music videos. You need a certain amount of hours. And once you log those hours, it's just through your pay stubs. And you log those hours, then you can apply to get in. The first payment was about 1,400, but then after that, it's just every 3 months, it's like $400. And being in the union, what it does for you is it guarantees your pay at an amount. I think it went up to $50 an hour as an assistant editor. That's really great. That you'll have to fight tooth and nail to get that as a freelancer. So being in the union has that benefits. Plus, you get a health care, dental, glasses, everything. So you're really taken care of, and it doesn't feel freelance anymore. It feels like a regular 9 to 5, even though it's very much not that. Um, because you'll take moments off. So, like the TV show I was on, I worked for a year on that show. We would take breaks every like 4 or 5 months and then come back, and it would just be like this gap of like 2 months or so where I would just be like on my own to like paint or write poetry or go camping in Joshua Tree or, go take a trip, vacation. So that was really cool. Working in documentary film, which was my big thing, was like really a lot because the organization was just whatever we wanted it to be. It wasn't scripted. So working in documentary film was like the AE and I had to communicate a lot about what I saw this organization, as well as the producer, who wanted it to be a certain way, wanted it to have a certain energy at the beginning versus the end. So the documentary world is really chaotic. It was fun. I did freelance as a documentary film editor, and it was great pay. I mean, they paid me $10,000. I worked for 1 month, and I edited a documentary from my home. So it had its benefits, but the chaos of it, and I got the drive sent to me. The hard drive was sent to me from Los Angeles. So even like hoping that didn't get lost and then sending it back, So there's some stress in doing it the way I've been doing it, working outside of Hollywood and also doing freelance work. So that's been interesting. And then I did have a film go to Cannes. That was a scripted film that went to Cannes Film Festival, and it was a very short film. It was like in their short film department, and that was interesting. That was just something that I met someone at a job, and then they told me months later that they needed an editor, and I said yes. And that's usually how it works. You know, every job leads to a new job. So that was really cool, and that showed in a theater in Los Angeles. So I got to go to the premiere of that. That was really great, and I see my movie on the big screen. There's no better feeling. So it was like that was worth it. So yeah, so my experience with film has been really great. I think it's very it's a lot heavier. Just the bigger the project, the more time it takes from your life and the more energy it takes from your life. And that's what it is. The smaller the project, you kind of just do it, get paid, but you don't feel creative and you may feel like you're not really reaching your highest potential.
Hmm. Yeah, so you kind of just touched on it a little bit, and I touched on my perspective on it a little bit earlier. But what do you think are, like you said, it was amazing to see your project on the big screen. What are some of your favorite parts of the editing process? But like once it's finished, is it the payoff or is it the process or both of them?
Oh, wow. Great question, really. I would say I really love the process because you're sort of finished with it and sick of it by the time it's on screen. Like, it's nice to get dressed up and go see your movie, shake some hands like that. But you're just like, I never want to see it again. And I also like, what's the next thing? So a lot of us editors definitely have that restless feeling at the premiere and at the final showing where it's like, God, I don't ever want to see that again. But while you're making it, it's exciting because the every day you come to it, you watch the scene you just edited and you see something new, you see something different, and you feel like you're really in the action, you're really in the thick of it, and you're like using some part of your creativity. So I love the process of editing. I love the process of like finding new things about the characters or the dialogue or the story, trying to make that come out, showing my director, showing my producer, getting their notes, whether they're good or bad, executing their notes. I love to execute, to make things happen, to finish things too. So I'm always looking to that. But yeah, once you show up and it's done, you're like, ugh, like it's over, like rinse me of it. So yeah, that's just how I feel.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I was listening to a podcast recently called Art of the Cut, and it was with the editor of Oppenheimer. I think her name is Jennifer Lame, but she was saying she was like the host was asking her all these questions about it, and she was like, honestly, I don't remember. As soon as I finished, I went to the next project, and I'm focused on that now. She was like, I forgot everything that happened.
Yeah,
So I
that's
thought that was
right.
super interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And it's good you listen to these podcasts. You got to do that. Look at podcasts, look at websites, like see how the other editors are processing this lifestyle, because we always say in editing, like the American cinema editors, I've been an associate of theirs, and they always say like this is a lifestyle. It's not a job. And that's what a lot of people who don't edit don't understand. Like we move on so quickly because we're living this lifestyle of we have to keep cutting, we have to keep editing. So people might get obsessed with the project you did and you literally can barely remember it because you moved on to the next one. Um, but definitely take a breath and take care of your health. And, because a lot of us editors are very like, overworked and tired, and it's a lot of work and it takes a lot out of you. They think we're just sitting at a computer cutting, but the brain power is like we're running miles, to keep it all together. And um, the stories we tell, I care about these characters like they're real people. I care about everything I've edited. I could remember the feeling I had when I was first editing, whether I felt like laughing or crying. Like it does mean something to us, but you have to just like let it go when it's over and it's ripped out of your hands, and it's just like you got to go to the next one. So that's how we are. And I saw we have 10 minutes left,
Hmm.
so yeah, I won't keep you much longer, but this has been really great.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering some of these questions. It was awesome to get to talk with you again.
Yes, you too, Spencer. I know you're going to do great things. I'm really looking forward to hearing about it. Keep me in the loop and let me know if you ever have any questions. You got my email and my phone number, and I'm here to help you. I'd love to mentor you and just be a part of your story.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. We'll talk soon, all right?
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.